What's going on, White Tigers, and welcome to the final episode of the White Tiger Podcast. Yes, you heard me right. I said final episode of the White Tiger Podcast. I can't believe it. It's been since 2018 we started this, and here we are in 2021, 110 episodes in, and we're closing the doors on this bad boy. But I got to tell you, it has been an amazing experience. And it's not just the amazing guests that we've had on this podcast, but our amazing community. Yes, I'm talking about you, the person that's listening right now. It's because of you guys that we're able to continue to do what we've been doing over the course of the last 3 years. So thank you. And most importantly, thank you. But as one door closes, another one always opens. And another one has opened for us. So we are continuing this podcast journey, but not as the White Tiger Podcast. And we're going to be talking about that in this episode. We're also going to be talking about what we've learned from this podcast journey, in addition to how it changed both of our lives. And we're going to give you a little, say, teaser on what's to expect moving forward with our new podcast and all the exciting things that that's going to bring. So guys, thank you so much for staying with us. We hope to have you with us on our new journey, and we look forward to that. Thank you so much. And yeah, this is it, our last episode. So guys, thank you and enjoy it. What is up, Asante?
What's up, Craig?
What's up, man? And welcome to the final episode of the White Tiger Podcast. It seems like this came out of left field, but then again, it not. But I mean, we haven't put an episode out for a while, so we figured like we have to do our due diligence and just put the icing on the cake.
Yeah, we've been working in the background, but we had to give this like its proper closure. I mean, you started this 3 years ago. And it's been an incredible journey. And I'm just so grateful that I've been able to be a part of it.
Yeah. And you know what? So it's very bittersweet for me because, and just to kind of go back to when this whole thing started and just talk about journeys, right? Like I left law enforcement in this like super structured environment, like team superstructure environment where I pretty much knew what I was doing every single day. And then on top of that, trying to figure out what my journey was going to be now. Like I didn't know what there was going to do. All I ever knew was policing. I went to college for it. I everything I've ever all the information I ever digested had to do with law enforcement because that's what, I felt like I always wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to do the 9 to 5. So having retired, like having finally saying, hey, listen, I can't do this anymore for various reasons. It took its toll. I wasn't happy. There was a lot of things I knew I needed to change. I knew I needed to change something. So I knew that coming out to the West Coast, I wanted to do something. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that I wanted to try to help people in the same capacity. I still wanted to serve, right? And I still wanted to hopefully make an impact on others. Somehow, some way I got involved with podcasting. I felt like, well, this would be a really cool thing to do. Like, yeah, man, this is awesome. I could talk and I could hopefully share some of my experience in law enforcement. And I'm like, yeah, what the hell? I'll look up some YouTube videos and figure it out. And really at the time, there wasn't much out there. There was some people who had already had some success in the space and they were just putting out some YouTube videos, maybe selling some courses about how to get started in this new venture and this thing called podcasting. And, April 22nd, 2018, when I finally finished the first episode and recorded it and didn't know what the hell I was doing and had no plans. And during that time, I talked about a bunch of different topics and then, things changed. I interviewed Asante Cleveland. And then it changed. Things changed. This became much more than I ever thought it was going to be. And not only did I meet an amazing person in you, but this whole journey changed. And it was just awesome. And I was super excited about it. But I learned a lot from this process. And I think we could both agree on this. I think, sometimes you just have to take the first step. And that's the key. Right. So, if you're listening to this and thinking about like I need to make a change, you're going to find every single reason not to. And I found every single reason not to, but it is empowering just to take the first step, just to press record or just, whatever it is that you want to do. And I think that was huge for me. Now, in hindsight, like there's a lot I learned. Like I could easily look back at this last 3 years and say, well, this is not where I thought this whole journey was going to go. I thought maybe that we would be in a different place. But that's really, when I look at the glass half empty, those are the excuses I come up with. But there's so many positives and so many things that have happened that are setting up something even more special. So, it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting, and it's interesting to see how this whole thing took place. And I'm just glad I was able to take the first step and just hit record.
Yeah, well, I'm so grateful that you did too, because for me, this was my first opportunity to really talk about my football story. And especially at the time that we first had our first episode, I want to say it was in like October 2018.
I think it was.
Yeah, at that point in my life, I really had just kind of had to come to the realization that I was done playing football. I had just been, back in March, New England told me that they weren't going to sign me. And those next, I don't know how many months, I was still kind of holding out on the possibility that I would still get picked up by another team. Other teams had like expressed interest. And when I didn't get anything, I didn't know what I was going to do. And this was the first opportunity where anyone really asked what I went through. Or, because like, I didn't really talk about friends a lot of what I was going through with football. Because really, like, no one really asked. And so, you know me, I don't say much unless I'm prompted.
Yes. Yeah. But that's what we love about you so much.
Yeah. But this was such a therapeutic experience. And for me at that time, I was really in the thick of like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do next. I didn't have anything going on. And so I was so excited to have just something on my schedule, something to say like, hey, on this day, on Tuesday at 11, Craig's coming over and we're going to do another episode. And just that was something to look forward to for the week. And so it's been such a great experience for me. And I'm just incredibly grateful that you allowed me to come on and share your audience with me so that I could hopefully share something that people would resonate with.
And I appreciate that. And I think I've told you this, and if I haven't, I'll tell you now. Like, I appreciate that you said yes. You said yes to wanting to come on and feeling comfortable to share your story and share the experiences, because that was amazing. I feel very honored. And I just knew, I think, when you know, like, I just knew that like afterwards, like we needed to connect again. We needed to talk again. And I think that was just, I don't know, sometimes you just can't explain things. You just do it. Like you just do it. I felt like I have to have Asante back. We got to talk. We got to do this again. And I felt like, over the course of the last 3 years, there's so many things that we have in common, even though we have our differences. I think there's so many things that we have in common that we share, especially on this journey. And it's still an ongoing journey, and we're still in the process of figuring things out. And that's kind of what makes it challenging, but it's very like reflective of life. It's like, sometimes you're not going to do something for a week or a month. Sometimes it may take you a lot longer. In our case, we're still learning with this podcasting journey. It's been 3 years. Like it may take a while. And I think that I could see why most people just like, screw this. I'm just going to go back to certainty and just find something that is just easy. And it's something that I could, I have structure and it's just comfortable, and I get it. And everyone's in a different situation, so I can't say that, I respect anyone's decision to, pursue or not pursue whatever they want because of their situation, but I would definitely encourage them at the same time that, if you have that fuzzy feeling in your chest, or you have that, reoccurring thought about like, I should be doing something else, and your heart is telling you to move in that direction, I would encourage you to do it. And I think that's kind of like one of the things with this podcast. I mean, I got to tell you, I learned a lot about myself, not just from, all the amazing guests that we've had, but I just learned a lot about myself from myself and about this journey. Like I got caught up in, the comparison game. I got caught up in like what I thought or expected to happen. And, it was like a lot of like anger and frustration. And there was some times where I'm just like, when is this going to break? Because I kind of felt like, we've been doing this for so long, like, and we're having these amazing guests. Like, why isn't this growing like I thought it was going to grow? Why aren't the opportunities presenting themselves like I thought that they would? And it was hard, especially when you're making a time commitment and a financial commitment, when you're not doing anything else. And that's hard because especially, for me, like you have a family and you're like, listen, like, how do I explain to, my wife and my kids, like, so what's dad doing? Well, dad's podcasting. It's like, all right. And what are you doing for like, or people would ask, like, what are you doing to make money? I'm like, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Things are going to get great. This is just good. You don't understand. Like, you have to have faith, believe in it's going to happen. And then you really believe that in the beginning. And then over time, when things don't start moving in that direction, you start to almost question those same things that you were trying to convince others on, right? You were just trying to tell people like, this is going to work. This is going to you just have to believe in it. I'm having faith. Like I really am pulled. I just believe it. I have to have that blind faith that it's going to work. And when that doesn't, you start to question yourself and you start to think about like, what am I doing? But you learn a lot during the process, and I've learned a lot from those different things. And you have a lot of limiting beliefs that come across your plate thinking about what you can't do or what you may be doing wrong. But it's definitely been an amazing learning experience for me. And I feel more empowered now, having gone through the process and learned what I learned. And it's motivated me to go out and go after it in a different way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I've been with you, so I've seen and heard some of the frustrations, and like I've been right there with you. And for me, I feel like this challenged me to grow in a couple different ways. One of them being that it really forced me to get out of my comfort zone of like asking people for things, because that was something that I never liked doing. I didn't like feeling like I needed people to do things for me, or just like reaching out to people, like felt like I was bothering them. And to get some of the guests that we had, I had to like just rip off the Band-Aid and just like ask someone like, hey, would you like to come on and be a guest? Like, we'd love to talk to you. And it was always such a pleasant surprise when people would say yes. So that was like a big thing that I had to grow through. And then also early on, it was kind of tough for me to help with the conversation during the podcast. Cause I wanted to contribute, but I also didn't want to like overstep. But just as we kept doing it, we got in some reps. And as we kept doing it, I just felt a lot more comfortable learning from you, seeing how you were able to like ask questions and just engage with our guests more and more, so that we could get them to share something about their story that we know will be a benefit. And so, yeah, it was tough early with that, but then also just like asking people to come on, that was tough for me, and it was.
It's just like in any relationship, right? Whether it's a podcasting relationship, or a relationship with a spouse or a loved one or whatever, it's sometimes when it's always, you have that balance. Like when someone is really needing or struggling and you really need the help, usually the other one is there to kind of balance them out and pick them up, and vice versa, right? There's always seems to be at the right time that balance. Like it's never, there are situations where maybe you're both meeting at a valley and a P, or you know what I mean? But you always seem to like, I think when I needed the lift, you gave me that lift. And I hope that was the opposite too. Like when you needed the motivation and the encouragement, like I was hopefully there and hopefully did a good job with doing that for you. I know you did it for me, and it's definitely helped, and it's definitely helped us get in those reps and then fine tune our craft, this whole podcasting thing. But, it's just been interesting. It's like, it's been, the guests are amazing. Like every time, like we would interview somebody, I would have to pinch myself thinking like, holy, I can't believe this. And then it was almost like, all right, so I want to, most importantly, just like honor the guests and just make them feel comfortable, and not like so many people, you would hear information about, all right, listen, when they come on, make sure they share it, make sure they do this. I'm like, dude, I'm just happy that they showed up. Like, I'm happy that they're here. Like, I'm not ready and feel comfortable with it yet. So that was just a process of learning in itself. And I think, again, like, if someone is like listening to this, it can relate, like, please, like, don't let any of these things discourage you, because they were very discouraging, right? If whether it's asking somebody for something or asking for help, or whether it's like, wanting to do something and maybe having a courageous conversation with someone because you just need to kind of get it off your chest and you're debating on whether or not you should say it, like, you need to do it. Like, you really get yourself, just the fact of you saying, hey, can I talk to you, is huge in itself, So go out there and just like, rip the Band-Aid off, like you said, Asante, and just like, because the fact that you did that, regardless of what the outcome was on there, regardless if they said yes or no, was huge in itself. Yeah. Like, that action of you doing that was massive, because you got in reps of just being like, all right, I'm out of my comfort zone now. That's one. I'm going to do it again, get out of my comfort zone again, regardless of what they say. And then when they say yes, it's like, oh, cool. Now, on top of getting out of my comfort zone, now I'm getting I feel more confident about it because I got a good result. Right. So
it's just like we were talking about, as uncomfortable as it is in the beginning, when they say yes, it's like, thank goodness I did that. I leaned into, I ignored the fear. Because like, two that I was like so uncomfortable doing was asking Vernon to come on, just because I know how busy he is. He has a growing acting career, real estate. So it's like, this dude may be too busy to come do something for little old me. And then the same thing with Gates, someone who is not on social media at all, who is, he kind of disappears. Like, if you don't have his number, like, you can't reach him. He's not on social media. But to like have him on, I was so grateful that because we had talked about having those two on for a while. And I was always like, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll get it. And I was just always like afraid to ask them. And so I'm glad that you encouraged me to just like lean into it, and worst thing they could say is no. And they both said yes.
Yeah, there you go. And that's a great lesson in itself. I mean, it's been pretty amazing. And so I think for people who have maybe are listening and maybe haven't followed like us on social media, or just solely listened to the podcast and are wondering like, where is this really conversation from? Like, you guys were, going strong, or whatever it was. And then all of a sudden now you have a final episode. Like, let me just explain a little bit of that. So this is a final episode of the White Tiger podcast, but over the last 3 years, we've learned a lot. Like we were talking about, we got in our reps, and we have we needed to pivot. I think we had to understand that things had to change. Now, in the course of doing this, right, whether it be a podcast or a business or anything else, you kind of assess where you are, and you give yourself a timeline, and you kind of figure out, okay, I'm going to give myself 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. And if things don't change, I need to really assess where we're at. And things changed. A logo changed a little bit. How many times we were doing it per week changed. The social media posts changed. Were we talking specifically about sports? Were we just doing episodes on sports? It's just episodes on mindset. So many things pivoted and changed to try to figure out that formula to get it work. And no matter what we did, it never really seemed to pick up the steam or the momentum that we really craved. And I think, and tell me if I'm wrong here, Asante, but like, we craved to get it to where we wanted to get it to become something where it created opportunities, networking opportunities, business opportunities, and ultimately made money. Because I think ultimately what we're doing is like, when you're at the second half of your life, or you're in not even second half of your life, but another chapter of your life, leaving the career that you've primarily had done most of your life, like you're looking for that next thing. And this is like, I love talking. I'm super passionate about it. I love connecting with people. Like, this could be it. I got to figure out how to maybe make money with it. But at the same time, deliver, some great value to your community. And it just wasn't working. And I think we've talked over and over again about pivoting and changing things. And I think ultimately, we talked about this on one of our episodes, is finding someone who's had success, finding a mentor, finding a person, and reaching out to that person. And then on top of it, I also realized like, you got to reach out to more than one person. You got to reach out to a lot of people, because it does take, like, what does it take? A village, they say, right?
It takes a village.
Right. But in life, it does take a village. It takes a village of people who have expertise in your space, in various different areas of your space, that can help you along the way. And you have to, they're out there, and they're people that are super abundant. You just got to do some work and find them, and you'll be very surprised. Just like you were talking about, Asante, is like, wow, I was surprised when I got the courage to ask someone to be on this, and they said yes. It's like, I kind of was in a similar situation of getting the courage to put myself out there to ask for help, to say, hey, listen, I'm struggling. I need help. We want to get this. Can you please help us? But one of the biggest takeaways for this, and I would suggest this for anybody, if you're going to do this, just take some time to be very clear about what you're going to ask for. Because I think when you don't know what you're asking for, no one can help you. And I think that was the biggest thing that I've learned. Is like when I needed help to try to figure out what to do to get this podcast to become a business, to make money, to develop value, to build an unbelievable community on top of what we already had. Like, I needed to be very specific on what we wanted in order for us to get the help that we needed. And I think that's where things changed, because I kind of felt like I didn't know what to do, where to go. I think we were just winging it. There wasn't any structure until I got clear and said, Asante, I think this is what we need to start asking people for help. And then asking that specific, clear question, I think was the complete game changer.
Yep. Yeah. Getting clear on, what you want. You have to be able to ask the universe for things, in a concise way so that it knows what to give you. Mm-hmm. And I feel like for a long time, we wanted to have guests on, and do episodes, and that's what we were doing. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what we were doing, but right. We weren't really refined in what we wanted to accomplish with that. But after getting clearer, we have a much better lens of what we need to do and how we can really get to where we want to go. But the best part about it is we've gained so much experience through all the different conversations that we had. And Craig, you did over 100 episodes. I think that is just such a huge testament to the resiliency, the commitment, the focus, the drive. Like, I think that is, and despite not seeing the results that we were necessarily looking for, but to still be able to put in time and effort on the craft, I think is so inspiring. And the results will show.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. But you know what? For those who don't know me, I'm not a quitter. And maybe quit's the wrong word, but I just don't want to give up on something I really believe in. And I refuse to let 110 episodes and maybe not getting to where I thought we were going to get to stop us, or, just stop this from working, it's just, I think what happens is, I think a lot has to do with perspective. I could easily look at this and say, oh, you know what? All this time, and, in the end, it didn't get to where I thought it was going to get, but that's not going to serve me or anybody else any good. But I look at it as, and it took me some time to realize this. It's like, man, I got 110 episodes of amazing conversations. I got 110 episodes of repetitions of a new craft that I never knew anything about when I first started this. I got 110 episodes of just like memories, and I got 110 episodes of just exciting laughs and fun, and a lot of it still that'll live on forever, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to live on forever. And that's awesome. Like, it's this, the White Tiger content is not going away. It's going to be here. It's going to stay here. And it's just, it's really, and the one thing I love about it, and I'll talk about like the next step or the next journey, but in a minute, but one thing I do love about it is it's literally like a journal. It's like a journal of like, hey, you can hear where it started, and you could see how it's evolved, and you could hear the conversations change. You could hear you could see the axe sharpening, so to speak, to use a metaphor, you could see how it evolved, and then how we connected, and then how that evolved, and then the guests, how that all changed. And I think the fact that that's still going to remain, and still be this is pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. So, and I think if you were to look back at it and say like, wow, like, look at this, like so many people see the final product, but I kind of feel like the journey is going to be there for people to see. Like if people want to, they can go back and see episode 1 and go through these episodes and see the journey. Like, so if anyone ever says, oh man, I want to do exactly, listen, go back and look at an episode 1 of the White Tiger podcast to 110 and look at all those different things. Look at the dates, look at the times, look at what we did, look at how things changed. Look at how different things sounded. And yeah, that journey is always going to live. And that's really something I'm always going to be able to look back on and say, hey, check this out. Look at where we were then and look at where we are now.
Yeah. And we had a lot of adventures all throughout.
Yeah, I mean, and there's some great stories. I mean, the fire alarms stick out for me going off in your apartment. The trip to Miami for the Super Bowl, and that was just an awesome experience. And interviewing the people we did there, that was just amazing. And the bugs that we had, the bug issue while if you're trying to podcast while you're getting
attacked by a swarm of gnats.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting when you're trying to talk and a bug flies in your mouth. I mean, the stories go on and on and on and on. But Asante, one thing I do want to talk about is what happens from here. Like what is happening from here? And I think, so we've been able to collaborate with some amazing people that have really been helping us. And I really believe that you guys, hands down, are the most important thing, and what fuel our tank when it comes to podcasting. Like it's the community that we serve, and that's one thing that whether it be on a professional athletic community, or whether it be in a law enforcement community or a public community, like we're out, so we want to out there and serve a community. You guys have been awesome, and I cannot thank you enough. I mean, I could do a podcast on just that solely alone. But what I do want to say is like we're definitely like fine tuning our craft, and we're going to be going through this reboot and relaunch of the White Tiger podcast. But it's not the White Tiger podcast anymore. It's something new. It's something that's going to be reflective of our journey. And I think we're going to be able to serve a lot of people that are trying to figure out maybe what's next in their life, or they're going through some type of transition. They're going through change, because we all go through change. And we could tell you from our experience going through this journey that change is hard and it's difficult, but we've learned a lot, both professionally and now through this podcast journey. And we feel like we can help a lot of people that are maybe struggling or going or needing some help and maybe some motivation, some great conversation to help them through change, transition, trying to figure out maybe what's first, what's next, and so on. So I'm not going to leak everything right now, but I do want to say that if you're trying to figure out what's first in your life, what's next, trying to figure out maybe what your next journey looks like, and that speaks to you, we would love to have you on this new podcasting journey that me and Asante are going on. And what I love about this the most, Asante, is this starts with us. Like the White Tiger was just a thought. And I pressed record, but that journey is a great journey. But this journey starts with Asante and Craig, right? And I think that's what's super exciting for me. Like this is our journey now. This is not like, we're both walking the same path, where before we were two paths that intersect. Now we're on the same path. And that's what I love about this.
Yeah. It's awesome that we're going at this together from the jump. But also I think this was a culmination of we were both on this kind of wavelength and like the conversations that we were having, but it wasn't as focused. And I like that we will directly be able to help people who are dealing with transition and change, because man, just from my personal experience, I've had to go through a lot of transition in my life. And that's the one thing that's always going to be constant, is that things will never stay the same. And learning how to best handle that, and still be successful even when things are uncertain. Because just from when I first retired from football, I was really lost. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was going through depression. I was trying to figure out what was going to be the next thing that gave me joy or hope or anything. And it was tough. because I didn't have any framework, but as we had more conversations with people, it began to be more clear for me. I think I was better able to learn about just how to deal with change and the best way you can put yourself in a situation to where you can be successful amid uncertainty.
Yeah. And you know what? I think the better you become a change, the more it's going to serve you in life. And you're going to crush whatever it is that you want to crush.
Yep.
And we'll leak a little bit more of that to you guys on social media. So please, if you don't follow us already, check us out on Instagram. Right now it's at the White Tiger Podcast, but follow us there because we're going to tell you about our launch, our new date of when this is all going to go down and where you could follow us and get all this new information in regards to what we're doing in this journey that we're on. So it's super exciting. And Asante, listen, I couldn't think of a better person to do it with other than you.
We are in this together. And in classic White Tiger podcast fashion, we'll have to end with Craig. What are you grateful for?
You know what? I'm grateful for challenge, and I'm grateful for change, and I'm grateful for being uncomfortable, and I'm grateful for having the opportunity to take a risk, and I'm grateful for myself. I'm grateful for myself that I was able to take a risk. And that I was able to completely do something I never, ever thought in my life I ever would have done. And how that course of decisions has completely changed my life for the better. And that's what I'm grateful for.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And what are you grateful for, Asante?
I am grateful for everybody who has stuck around with us. We do have loyal people who listen, and I'm grateful for all of those people who stuck around, even though we were all over the place at times. I believe that we did our best to share the information that we thought was valuable. We connected and shared the stories of people that we thought would be able to help. And I'm grateful for everybody who came on as a guest. You guys are awesome. For everybody who we knew before who came on, and then for all the people who we didn't know but reached out because they wanted to be on and share their stories with our audience. I'm so grateful for all of you guys. And Craig, I'm incredibly grateful for you for giving me an opportunity to share my story, because I realized how valuable it was to be able to say things out loud. Because I realized that some of the things I shared, I had never said those things out loud. And I think that's a very important thing to be able to verbally express what you're going through, how you're feeling. And this was definitely a way for me to learn how to do that better for myself. And my life has changed so much for the better from where I was, back in October 2018, to where I am now. I can say I am in a much, much, much better place. And I'm so grateful for that.
Well, thank you for you, Asante. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you, bro.
That banner we brought, we only used that once.
One time, and it... Ooh, man,
another good story.
And it got bent too. We did an outdoor podcast right next to a active highway.
Yeah. We bought this banner with the logo on it, and the thing nearly flew down the highway. It was oh God. Crazy. I'm going to put that up. I should put that up on eBay. Maybe that'll be a first. Hey, we'll give that away as a White Tiger memorabilia. We have this beautiful White Tiger banner that anyone wants. Just hit us up on social media. Send us a DM. It's yours.
It's yours.
It's yours. All right, Asante. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for all of this. I could go on and on and on, but I'm looking forward to what's in the past is in the past. I'm looking forward to the future, and I'm ready to bring it. So thank you.
Let's go.
Hey, what is up, guys? And thank you so much for listening to the final episode of the White Tiger Podcast. Please stay tuned right here on your favorite podcast platform. Yes, right here. You don't have to do anything. And join us on our new podcast journey, which will be launching soon.
Also, follow us on Instagram where you'll get all the latest info and updates about what we're doing, when we're launching, and much, much more. Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.